welcome to our final Spear Football Preview show, and we are so blessed to be able to do our last one so late in the year with a bowl game on the horizon out in Arizona. Of course, the Arizona Bowl. Number 19 ranked San Jose State Spartans will play Ball State on New Year's Eve at Arizona Stadium in Tucson, Arizona. And we have a little bit more of a full house on this football preview show. We have Ian Hansen and Connor Smith from Ball State joining us today. They'll give us a little bit of insight. Ian will be headed out to the desert to cover Ball State on New Year's Eve. Ian is the sports editor at Ball State Daily News, and Connor Smith is the assistant sports editor. Gentlemen, it is so good to have you on. How are you?
It's great to see you. I'm out near Chicago, so very different, very different part of the country as opposed to, where you guys are right now. But obviously, it's our first bowl appearance in 6 years coming up this Thursday. So, I know with the team, I've been speaking to some current players, some alumni, and, there's a very optimistic feeling, I'd say, around the team in their locker room right now. So definitely looking forward to covering the game and maybe seeing them get that first bowl win that they've been looking for such a long time now.
Yeah, same here. I'm in Indianapolis right now, getting prepared to head out to the desert, head out to a little bit warm weather here. But yeah, it's been fun just like talking to the head coach kind of about his journey to get here because, he's had, one thing about this team is they've had to deal with a lot of adversity. So it's just kind of been cool getting perspectives of that this week heading into the game.
Definitely. We also have my normal co-host Max Miller and Derek Al. Gentlemen, good to see you. It's our final show. How are you guys doing?
Well, first of all, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. Happy holidays, and it'll be a Happy New Year for either three of us or two of us, or just happy that we're all there. These teams have been similar in adversity and in performance all year. This is a big game for both schools. We're glad to have both Ian and Connor here. Hi, guys. How's it going? But Derek, dude, we made it to a bowl game and we're ranked. It finally happened.
Yes, sir. They're on their way to Winslow, Arizona, like the Eagles. We'll take it easy right there. And great to be joined by our friends from Ball State, Connor and Ian. No, the school's not in Max Muncie, Indiana. Sorry for your Dodger fans. It's in Muncie, Indiana. So let's remember that. And Dave Letterman, we should be on, all five of us should be on your show on Netflix, man. Come on, you got to order some more episodes, son. We don't want to see no Kim Kardashian interview. Come on, playa. But yeah, anyways, this past couple weeks for San Jose State, they've been dealing with coaching rumors. It's been like that movie Jingle All the Way with Sinbad and Arnold Schwarzenegger going for Turbo Man. And instead, the Spartans Turbo Man has been just getting to Arizona because, there's been a lot of I would say controversy with the county health officials. And then Coach Brandon, is he staying? Is he going? And then, I know our Spear group chat, we haven't been freaking out too much. And Arizona hired the Patriots quarterback coach. But anyways, to the bowl game, I know they did get a sponsorship, I believe, but let's just call it the Arizona Bowl at Tombstone, AKA Arizona Stadium. So it should be a fun afternoon. And in my mind, it's one of the better bowl matchups on paper, excluding the college football popularity contest. What was that? Oh, the playoff. Sorry, not the popularity contest, the playoff. Excluding from that, it's one of the better bowl matchups because you're getting two conference champions going at it.
And with that, our episode is over. No, I'm just kidding. Derek, thank you for that. Of course, the Arizona Bowl this week, New Year's Eve in Arizona and Tucson at 11 a.m. on CBS. It's going to be great. Adversity is the key word for both the Ball State Cardinals and San Jose State Spartans, and overcoming adversity as the Spartans win their first Mountain West championship since joining the Mountain West in 2013 and have a 7-0 record. In Ball State, they won the Mid-American Conference with a record of 6-1, and they are headed to their first conference title game since 1996 out in the desert with a win over the Buffalo Bulls 38-28. I'd love to hear from Ian and Connor a little bit more about that game. And the Bulls were on quite a season as well. So tell us about that game and what it meant to win that Mid-American Conference title.
Yeah, so I was out there in Detroit at Ford Field doing some coverage for the Ball State Daily News. And, the thing that's really, I guess, resonated with me, covering this team and watching them all season is just, just their resilience and just their way to, fight back and win games. They have 22 seniors. And so that was something that they were looking for, for a very long time, was their first MAC win, and, their first since 1996, as you alluded to. And so, watching that game as it kind of unfolded, I think first quarter, they didn't really have the start that they wanted to, and it looked like Buffalo, Jarrett Patterson, if you guys know, the MAC Offensive Player of the Year, he was just out there firing on all cylinders. And it looked like, towards the second quarter, especially towards halftime, the defense, they were able to, get that composure a little. That's another very senior heavy group too. So being able to, slow him down a little, get big stops, and they take that lead into their locker room at halftime, and then coming out in the second half. And I believe all they got was just, I think it was a field goal on, their first or second drive, if I'm not mistaken. But, I think after that, the defense was just able to do its job and winning 38-28. And so it's, it was an upset win, defeating a nationally ranked Buffalo team. And I was talking to head coach Mike New after the win, and, he kind of described his mentality as Ball State against the world. So really looking at it from an underdog perspective, which is, I think, something that, they've really been doing all season. And I think that's really, helped them etch out some big wins. But no, it was, I think, great for the school and for the Muncie community, and to see them do it in a year where there's just been a lot of uncertainty, with the pandemic, and are they going to play, are they not? It was just, I could tell everyone there was just very emotional, especially for, the senior players and all the adversity that they've been through these years.
And then, from my perspective on this game, the defense was the best I think I've seen all season. Jarrett Patterson, if you didn't know, had an 8 touchdown game and ran for, I believe, what was it? Don't quote me on this, but not like maybe 400 yards, something like that. Like he is, he was in the conversation for, I think he should have been in the conversation for Heisman. He was that good, and we held him to, 40, Ball State held him to 47 yards rushing. And I think them being, so dominant in the trenches in this game was really important for their success. And that was something, when I wrote a preview before the season, I think that was something that head coach Mike New talked about, was just them being dominant in the trenches. And throughout the season, they really improved in that area.
Spartans have improved on defense as well, getting the Mountain West Championship win, defeating the Boise State Broncos for the first time in their all-time series history. The Spartans were 0-14 against the Broncos, now 1-14, but this one probably was the biggest game in school history. Max and Derek, what did you think of the game? Spartans winning 34-20 out in Las Vegas, and they're off to the Arizona Bowl.
I thought it was a terrific game. I definitely got scared there a little bit in the third quarter when San Jose State's offense kind of stalled. They were only outscored 7-0, so the defense did a good job throughout the entire game. Like Ian and Connor both recognized that the defense of theirs much improved from this season from years past. San Jose State's did the same. The key for the last 2 games of the year, Boise State and Nevada, was how will the secondary hold up, and how will the defensive line get to the quarterback in order to help out the secondary. Well, I think this was a more well-rounded game from the defensive side of the ball than Nevada. I thought the player of the game was either Cade Hall or Fehoko. Fehoko was getting to the quarterback, stopping the run on almost every single play. On offense, it was the Nick Starkel show. The last 2 weeks before that, we've been getting Tyler Nevins and Kyrie Robinson going, but Nick Starkel threw the ball 52 times for 453 yards, 3 touchdowns. It was a great game. Good to see Trey Walker get involved, and I think some injuries definitely hindered Boise State, but the fact that they still got there, still one of the top teams in Mountain West, no excuses. San Jose State, like they said, they had a mountain to climb. They got one more to climb now, and that offense, if it can hum like it did before, and the defense can hold Ball State, we got a game on our hands.
You saw that social media video. By the way, that was terrific editing by our I always give the video crew credit because they're the real MVPs, because we can't even go to the game, so how are we supposed to know what's going on, So I think they leaned on each other, and then they used another. I'll quote another Vegas band, Imagine Dragons. They made us into believers. Unbelievable performance. I kind of predicted like majority of the stuff that would happen. Trey Walker needs to go off. He went off. He drove like a freaking Maserati down Las Vegas Boulevard. And then Cade Hall was just a one-man wrecking crew, like a Brinks truck, trying to, carry all the cash, all the losses that we all lost our money. We all have lost money in Vegas before. So, probably carrying all of our cash, but, he was just a one-man wrecking crew in that fourth quarter, getting Hank Bachmeier out of there. And then I remember I said, Boise State, they want to get out of the Mountain West. The coach got out of the Mountain West real quick. He went to Auburn, and now they're looking for an AD, looking for a coach. So, but going back to Spartans, it was a terrific team win, and it was just probably one of the best. I think the win meant a lot more for alumni than it did for students, because there's been some alumni that have seen the Spartans at the lowest of lows, seeing the program almost get canned and canceled, or just getting eliminated. And now they get to see kind of a 7-0 team, 7-0 team. Granted, of course, it's not at CEFCU Stadium. They've been to Hawaii, and I guess the stadium's condemned. So I guess we beat Hawaii so bad that we condemned the stadium. I don't know. Shaka, brother. Then we went to Viva Las Vegas, got some wins there. But the Boise State win was so monumental because Boise State, they've been the really the standard bearer in terms of just group of 5 teams, trying to take a stand against these Power 5 conferences. So it was a great win. And we'll see what they do against the Cardinals. Not Arizona, by the way, Ball State. So folks, geography, remember, we have Stanford Cardinal, we got the Arizona Cardinals, but this is the Ball State Cardinals. Before you get confused, I know we're gonna have a lot of fans looking up where in the world is Ball State. It's in Muncie, Indiana. What is an hour south of Indianapolis, I believe, close to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Yeah.
It's just a little hour north of Indy.
Okay. So there you go. Ian just told you it's an hour north of Indy. So if you ever want to take a trip to beautiful Muncie, Indiana, you got your tour guides right there.
You could say the same thing about the Spartans. I had a friend text me, "Oh, you guys playing Michigan State?" And I'm like, "Nope, it's San Jose State." So we got Mountain West versus SMAC.
Derek, I like what you said about the Mountain West championship game meant so much to, San Jose State alumni, as well as a number of students, some who may not know how well their football team is doing. But a lot of good news also came after the win. Brent Brennan is going to sign a massive contract extension after some rumors floated around about him leaving San Jose State after this season. And of course, NCAA athletes are granted one more year of eligibility. So who will stay, who will go from the Spartans championship winning team this season? It'll be interesting to see, but it brings a lot of Spartan fans comfort to know that Brent Brennan will be back, and for a long time after this bowl game and for the foreseeable future. So big game coming up. I want to circle back to adversity and beyond the conference winning games for both schools. And Ian and Connor, walk us through and tell us about the season as a whole and how the Ball State Cardinals overcame adversity. I think the Cardinals storyline is very similar to the Spartans in a way, both conference championships and with impressive records, the first in a long time.
Well, the adversity really started in 2016, and especially 2017. They won 2 games the whole season. They didn't win a single conference game. Then last year, they were kind of fringe bowl team, but ended up kind of falling short later in the season. And head coach, he was worried about his job. He didn't know if he had a future at Ball State. And then he got an extension, and in the off season, obviously everything's up in the air because of COVID. But one of the senior safeties said Detroit or bust, meaning MAC championship or bust. And at that time, you're looking at them like, you guys haven't seen any kind of success. You look at them crazy, right? But that was kind of the mantra for Ball State. And then they come out first game against Miami of Ohio, more geography there. They lose the first game. They lose the first game to the team who won the MAC championship last year. So they're 0-1. They have this mantra, Detroit or bust, that they're trying to live up to. And then they come out and they win the rest of the games of the season. And, more adversity struck in the game to determine if they would go to the MAC championship. They played Western Michigan in the final game of the regular season, and they were down 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. And they overcame that. And it's just been a whole thing of them being an underdog, them, having the odds against them. And they always, especially this year, they always just came around and, formed a bond, and they really just kind of pushed through, and they ended up winning. So it's been a year's worth of adversity for them, those seniors.
Yeah, and to kind of echo off what Ian was saying, 2017, you go 2-10, not winning a single conference game. 4-8 in 2018, and that was my freshman year at Ball State. And then, that 5-7 record last year in 2019, it wasn't a great season. I don't really know how they would look at it, but looking at that season, I think 3 of their final 4 games last year, all against MAC opponents, they lost all of those by like I think 1 score less. So I think not being able to close games, not being able to deliver when it matters most. That's what I think really inspired this team to kind of adopt their Detroit or bust mantra. And then amidst everything that's been going on this year, not knowing if they're going to play, maybe they play in the spring or maybe they just don't have a season. The MAC was, I think, the first conference, to really postpone fall sports. And then they were actually the last one to bring back football as well. So, that opening game against Miami, not necessarily the result that they wanted. They had, I think, their quarterback, Drew Plitt, redshirt senior, they basically had the game in their hands. Miami had their last drive, or their second to last drive, I should say, 3-0. And then Plitt, he has the ball, throws, makes an interception, and then that cost the team. And then Miami goes on to win. And you could tell that after that game, speaking in head coach Mike New, Drew Plitt, redshirt senior quarterback, they were, a little bit disappointed, but you could tell there was that optimism, and they take that to Muncie, win those first 2 home games against Eastern Michigan and Northern Illinois, teams that you would kind of expect Ball State to probably beat, and then go out, win the next couple on the road, Toledo 27-24, and then Central Michigan, which was when they were really able to, I remember that game earlier this month, they were really able to spread out the ball, win 45-20, and then what do you know, they come home, win that final game against Western, and eventually win the MAC championship. So to see a lot of the adversity that they've been through, I think is amazing, not just for this team, but for Ball State to, kind of help put the school on the map a little, because if, people see what this team is able to do, winning the MAC championship and playing in this bowl game, it just benefits the community. And I think there has been, just like I said, a lot of optimism this year, and especially going into this bowl game.
I feel like you both just told me about San Jose State's seasons and the past 3 seasons in a way, because Brent Brennan, head coach, was hired in 2017. The team went 2-11 2017 season. Then in 2018 went 1-11. And then the season after that, 2019, the record was 5-7, and the Spartans lost a lot of close games. Brent Brennan, during one of his press conferences recently, pointed out a specific time back earlier this year, actually, when San Jose State was holding a high school coaches recruiting practice, if you will, at the Spartans practice facility. And Brent Brennan said, hey, I'm not going to make it. I'm at my daughter's basketball game up in Oakland. But right after his daughter's basketball game, he hurried down to San Jose from East Bay. And once he arrived to the Spartans practice facility, he walked in and he pointed out that specific moment where he looked at his team and just felt something special. He said a tear came to his eye, and the offensive coordinator came up to him and tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Coach, we're going to be good." And that obviously foreshadowed this season, 7-0 San Jose State Mountain West champions. And I think Ball State and San Jose State have very similar storylines. Max and Derek, you guys can touch on a little bit more of what the schedule looked like from Humboldt to Las Vegas and now to Arizona.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the entire time you guys were talking about the records from 2017 to now, especially with that 5-7 2019 being so close, I was like, is this just a carbon copy of San Jose State? I mean, Ian, I saw your face. I mean, you were muted, but you said to yourself, wow, after the 5-7 comment that Ryan made. I mean, if these teams aren't similar enough, you could look at the statistics too. Both quarterbacks have 1,900 yards and 6 touchdowns. Both running backs have about 450 yards and 6 of 5 touchdowns. Both top wideouts have about 700 yards and 4 touchdowns. I mean, these teams play very similar styles. These teams have very similar defenses. These teams have most improved has been their defense. And you look at the adversity, like you guys said, Ryan, you brought up Humboldt. Like if you notice on Thursday when San Jose State plays, there'll be an H on the back of their helmet for Humboldt State. In order to go to training camp, in order to play this season, they had to start practicing in training camp at Humboldt State, which is about what, an hour and a half, 2 hours north, maybe more. I think, I'm not quite sure. Ryan, you have that for me? How far? 6 hours, right? Yeah,
6 hours,
it's 6
300
hours.
miles. Yeah.
300 miles. Yes, I thought it was a little less. That's my bad. But and then you come home, you win a game, you go on the road, and then halfway through the year, you're going to go out to play Boise State. That game's canceled. You go out in the Fresno State. You're supposed to go play Fresno State the week before that. That game's canceled. Then you're supposed to play a game in Hawaii or against Hawaii at home, and the sports ban at Santa Clara comes in. So now you got to go to a condemned arena that is Aloha Stadium and win there. Then you can't come back to Santa Clara because of our ban and quarantine for 10 days. So they go to Las Vegas and play at Sam Boyd Stadium, which New Mexico is already playing there, who's in their conference, who they've already beaten. So in their first game there against, was it Nevada? Yeah, against Nevada, you see New Mexico in the end zones, not San Jose State. And they win there, and then they're there again, living out of suitcases in a hotel away from the strip. I mean, it's all over the place. These kids didn't really get to see their families until Christmas. There was some question of whether or not they'd be able to go to Arizona. They're there. They're practicing today, so the bowl game is going to happen. But from COVID, with you guys, your season, the MAC getting delayed and last to come back, to San Jose State going all over the place to just play and practice, to get on the field. The similarity of the play styles and coaching and the storylines of the history, this is a great matchup for a bowl game, especially one that's going to be on CBS on New Year's Eve, where people are going to be searching for something to watch before the ball drops. So, it's great to see these two teams, how similar they are, and it's going to be a great matchup against them.
Yeah, Connor Pelton, who's one of our media reps, one of the great media reps at our school, they did a video, I think, right after the game, Boise State game, of that 90s song, How Bizarre, How Bizarre. So I felt like just hearing Connor talk about Ball State, it's kind of like San Jose State in a nutshell, basically. But yeah, it's just been a year of gambles to me. They've put a lot of chips into the football team, and it's paid off for them. Going to Humboldt State, received a lot of criticism from Humboldt, the student population, and then getting their season relocated to Hawaii, and then going to Viva Las Vegas, Nevada. It's just been a year of the gambles. And I remember we talked to the quarterback, Nick Starkel, about just this year. And Nick grew up in an Army family, going from San Francisco, I believe, to Virginia. I know Ryan can attest to this. Just going from point A to point B, point A to point B. So he was used to it. And then, I asked him, what would it feel like to have confetti fall? Well, it wasn't confetti. They had fireworks in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. Did they borrow that from the Mirage, or, I don't know, the Vegas New Year's Eve celebrations that can't be happening right now. But anyways, it's just been an unbelievable year. And to see both Ball State and San Jose State compete in one of probably the premier bowl matchups of the year. It's a special treat, and it's on CBS. So you get good old Brad Nessler. Welcome to the Arizona Bowl on CBS Sports. I'm Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson here with me. You get that old college. It feels like a big game. You know what I'm saying? And it just shows just how the student athletes have bought in. Both teams, student athletes, have bought into what Coach New and Coach Brandon have preached in their coaching staffs. And considering that the MAC, I know the MAC were one of the first conferences to delay their season, and Mountain West soon followed that. And now they're both both their champions are now playing in a Premier Bowl game on New Year's Eve. That feels great. And it should be an exciting matchup down in Tucson, not Tombstone the movie. And I know most of our millennial viewers are like, what? Kirk Russell? Val Kilmer? You guys never heard of him? We got a lot of young folk watching this on the fabulous YouTube machine, right, Mr. Carlson?
Indeed. Well said. Hopefully you can enlighten them a little bit more, Derek, in future episodes. But a lot of praise has been given to Ben Thienes, Assistant Athletics Director of Football Operations for the Spartans, as kind of the puppeteer for all the schedule changes throughout the season. Like Max said, Spartans flew to Boise State for a regular season matchup, and the morning of the game got word that it would be canceled due to COVID issues within the Boise State program. So then they flew back, and it's been a season of ups and downs. Of course, all the Spartan wins, 7-0 record, have been ups. And Nick Starkel said it's been like poetry in motion. is how he would describe it. Regardless of all that's going around the football team, once kickoff takes place, the boys are dialed in. And that has proven to be true for San Jose State and Ball State this season with a 6-1 record. We're gonna sidestep predictions this episode. Looking back last week, Derek tied with Stevie in terms of their predictions. No, they didn't have the same prediction, but they were both off by the same net total of 8 points. So I guess we'll give Derek the win.
Yeah,
This week. He's been longing for one all season. Max.
Bro.
Max objects.
Ryan, this ain't soccer. We don't tie. This is an American sport. We don't tie in,
Ryan and I tied. Neither of ourselves gave each other a win, so that's all I'm gonna say.
Because you two are the head honchos. I'm just the clown from Circus that does all the laughs and giggles on this show. But yeah, I guess give me and Stevie the win. I think that 2-point conversion messed me up.
But what we are going to do this week in place of predictions, starting with Ian and Connor. Tell us what you hope to see from this game, what you expect to see.
Well, one thing I think that has really led to Ball State's success is they, for the most part, they get off to strong starts. Expect Drew Plitt to be getting the ball out quickly to guys like Justin Hall and Johannes Tyler. Justin Hall, he's second in the MAC in receiving yards. He leads all of FBS in receptions. So he's been a huge presence. Johannes Tyler, I believe he scored, correct me if I'm wrong, Connor, 7 touchdowns in 6 games, I believe.
Yeah, no, I think you're correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So, expect them to be throwing quick. They're going to be throwing quick and early. The rushing, they lost their star running back, Caleb Huntley. He declared for the draft. He had a rib injury that kind of hindered him for the second part of the season. So, they do running back by committee. Look out for the name Ty Evans and Will Jones. Those are the, 2 guys that take the heavy load there running the ball, and expect a lot of jet sweeps. Justin Hall, he also gets a lot of, he does a lot of end arounds, which his, no defenses that Ball State have played have been able to really figure that out, because there's a lot of fakes. And there's just a lot of different things, a lot of emotions going on the offense. And then, Connor, if you want to, talk about what you're expecting defensively.
Yeah, just kind of go off of what you were saying with the offense. Expect the run game to be creative. Losing Caleb Huntley, who was their leading rusher, not something that you probably necessarily want midseason, but with guys like, how you were saying, Ty Evans, Will Jones, they've been able to get, creative in that regard. And Justin Hall, actually, he just became Ball State's all-time leader in receptions. And so look out, just more general than anything else. But, those seniors like Plitt and Hall and some of the guys on the defense who I'll get to, it could be probably their final game. So just expect for, them to come out, have that strong start and, really have that performance. But yeah, expect Plitt, to find Hall and Johannes Tyler, who has really taken a greater step on this team this season. I think defensively, I think the biggest thing for this team is the seniors are going to be motivated because it is that bowl game. They've been preaching that consistent mindset, but I think the biggest thing for this team is expect the senior group, just especially on defense, to have a big performance. Brandon Martin at linebacker, he missed most of last season, due to injury, and he came back. He has 85 tackles and was recently named the COMAC Defensive Player of the Year award. So expect him to have some, big stops. Senior safety Bryce Cosby, Jalen Thomas, also a senior at linebacker. They're really that big trio who, a team like San Jose State, I know they've been able to, they have a pretty potent offense and they've been able to, kind of get creative, but expect them to come out, have big performances. And the duo at cornerback as well, AJ Uzodinma and Antonio Phillips. I know there have been some times when they've gone through adversities this season, but they have really been, I think, for the most part, nailing it on the head all of this season, just getting those big plays and doing what they need to at the right moment. Uzodinma, he had our first pick 6 last month. I think it was maybe around a 60-yard touchdown run, something in that range, but they've been able to, the defense has been able to put points on the board as well. And they've gotten a couple of grad transfers as well. And I think that's, really helped. And it's like I said, a very veteran laden group. So I do think the motivation is going to be there.
And to kind of add on the defense, expect them to crowd the ball. They have the two leading tacklers in the MAC conference. Brandon Martin, like Connor said, has 85 I almost said touchdowns. Not 85 touchdowns, 85 tackles. Jalen Thomas has 74 tackles. He's second in the MAC. And then, defensive line, Connor was saying the grad transfers, they have a guy, Anthony Ekpe, who is second in the Mid-American Conference with 5 sacks. So, the pass rush has been, the trenches just in general, whether it's stopping the run, getting to the quarterback, has improved every single game for the most part. So, yeah, I mean, they love to crowd the ball. Bryce Cosby is another name to look out for. He's pretty much the captain of the defense. He kind of leads that secondary. So just look out for those names. Look for them to crowd the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I expect to see a lot of Nick Starkel again. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how they use Nevins and Robinson. It's going to be interesting to see how much they try to pound the ball and how much they try to establish a run game early. I think the goal of the offense is to not have Nick Starkel throw the ball 52 times like he did against Boise State. Although we know he can do it and he's shown it all year that he can, it definitely hurts our offense. When it's a balanced attack, those big plays that we didn't really get much of, the big chunk plays, the deep balls to Bailey Gaither, Trey Walker, those didn't really come. I mean, that first touchdown to Trey Walker was a screen pass. So if you establish that run game, you can establish some play action and establish some read option, and Nick Starkel won't have to throw the ball 52 times. I think he's going to have to throw it upwards of 30. But like you said, Ryan, if we can get Nevins and Robinson the whole run game going, it could be huge. One thing that I did notice in Boise State that I would like for San Jose State to continue is they spread the ball around. A lot of the times in a lot of these wins, especially when it gets out big, is because Starkel has zoned in on one option, whether it's Gaither, where the run game has been tremendous. We saw 5 receptions from Gaither. We saw 7 receptions from Walker. We saw Sam Olsen get involved. And I really like the fact that they were finding depth pieces. We saw Isaiah Holiness in a lot of plays. Shamar Garrett was even involved too. But the key here is Derek Deese. I mean, he's kind of the forgotten part of this offense. He was used in third down situations. Bailey Gaither was locked up. I'd like to see them continue to get Derek Deese involved. And when it comes to the defensive side of the ball, the Treys, again, Trey Walker, Trey Jenkins, Trey White, or not Trey Walker, my apologies, unless he runs some special team plays. But Trey White, Trey Jenkins, they continue to lock down the defense, especially the secondary. We know that, like you, Ian, and Connor said, that Plitt's going to get the ball out of his hands quickly, whether it's a handoff. I mean, by losing their starting running back, we don't know how much they're going to run. Are they going to rely on Plitt, especially if this is his last game at Ball State? We know Starkel, this could possibly be his last game as a Spartan, even though it was short-lived. He's going to want to go ball out. Bailey Gaither, this could be his last game. So we've got a lot of senior storylines here, and I think we could see high-flying offense, but the defense is both much improved on both sides. I think we could see some lockdown. The Cade Hall, Fehoko, they're looking to lock down Plitt, and off the record, they did tell us that once you get Plitt out of the pocket, some struggles can happen. So if they can continue to get pressure on the quarterback like they did against Boise State, San Jose State defense, their secondary can lock them down just enough to get that win. And we'll see how it goes. Good luck to you guys at Ball State.
Just want to show off my Christmas gift here before anybody oh, you're too pro San Jose State. Relax, folks. This is just a Christmas gift for my cousin. Chill out. Come on, man. I don't get paid by the dollar like Ty Dolla $ign. But anyways, just for some keys to the game. Number one, try to be professional here. We got our future leaders, our future journalism leaders of tomorrow laughing. I think number one is just try to get Plitt out of the pocket. I think this is going to come down to the line of scrimmage once again, which is so underrated in terms of football X's and O's, is just the line of scrimmage. I know Ball State's offensive line, they've really stepped up. They've been on a 6-game winning streak as they cruised in their Ford Mustang at Ford Field with their MAC championship against Buffalo. They just need to get a little more creative with the run game. I know their starting running backs trying to go to the pros here, so we opted out. And I think, if they can get creative with the run game, I think Ball State will try to create some holes in San Jose State's defensive line, which has been really stand out. Number 2 key, I would say, is I think San Jose State, you're going to see him take chances early. You're going to see him roll the dice on the roulette table. and just throw the ball deep to try to, I know Ball State, they've allowed like 440 yards per game, I believe. So they're going to try to get, just going to try to chuck it down the field, which is nice to do, but not in the, first play of the first drive. So I would love to see, Nick Starkel be more balanced, like Max said. I know again in the game against New Mexico, he threw to 10 different receivers. Let's go with that approach. You don't need to go, you don't need to have a Terrell Owens game, 20 catches for 200 something yards. You don't need to have that. You just need to keep it simple. I love to see Jermaine Braddock get into the action. He's going to be a future starter next season. But I expect the Spartans to just really be more versatile in their attack and just try to, get everybody involved. I think that's when a lot of good college football teams, really succeed, is getting everybody involved, not having to rely on one good receiver or just one good running back. Just get everybody involved. And number 3, I think it would just be win the turnover margin and try to force turnovers. I know both teams play really well. They're disciplined really well. Sorry, I'm losing too much eggnog from my head and I'm bundled up here. So I expect both teams to be disciplined, but I think whoever wins the turnover margin is going to win the Arizona Bowl, because for both these teams, this is a pivotal game. I think just to set the tone that we're going to be around. This ain't just another, not a 1 year flash in the pan. Let's go just win 2020 and then you don't do anything next season. I believe that whoever wins the turnover margin will win this game. And I know Brad Nessler is probably watching this. And they're going to copy my answers. So this is Derek Gow from the Spear. But anyways, it's going to be a fantastic game. New Year's Eve at 11 a.m. Not 8 p.m. Eastern, not 4 p.m. in
Pacific.
Muncie, Indiana. 11 a.m. on
Pacific.
CBS Sports. So before you go watch Ryan Seacrest drop the ball on that other network, we're not even going to name it because you guys already know where Ryan Seacrest is going to host a show on that other network. Just kick back and relax, stay at home. I know, this year's been rough, but stay at home, watch some good old fashioned football. It's going to be exciting and beautiful. Tucson, Arizona. So enjoy it.
It's going to be a great game. Max, before I close things up, let's get the Vegas odds from you one last time.
Well, my friends from Ball State, I hate to inform you, you guys are 9.5-point underdogs. Now, that's something that has been overcome, I would assume, by both teams. I haven't looked too much into your guys' schedule and your overs and unders. Go ahead, Ian.
Yeah, so Ball State was a 13.5 point underdog against Buffalo, and they ended up winning. So they love being the underdog. I'll just say that.
Yep. So does San Jose State. I mean, they were ranked 24th against Boise State. Boise State was an unranked team, and San Jose State was 6.5-point underdogs. So that should tell you all it is right there. Even ranked, they still can't get the recognition. There have been some games where San Jose State has been favored, but the over/under 64. I think that's going to be a little high. Both Ian and I agree on that. We talked before the show. We think both defenses are going to step up, and lately, the way that both teams have been playing, the scoring numbers have been down. Although the offensive numbers are higher, the scoring numbers have been down. Defense is locking it up, creating more turnovers and special teams plays. Both teams beginning to lock down the run. So again, San Jose State 9.5-point favorites. I think that might be a little high considering how both these teams coming in with very similar mindset and very similar past and season. The over/under, though, I think we can all agree 64 is a bit high. We're definitely going to see some fireworks, but I don't know if we're going to see that many. But Ryan, thank you for letting me do it one last time. I'm going under.
I had to. I couldn't forget. And it'll be a tale of two teams that have had very similar storylines ever since 2017, 2016 even, and now both with incredible records in 2020. What a way to end the year with Ball State and San Jose State in the Arizona Bowl at Arizona Stadium in Tucson. This has been a pleasure to have Ian Hansen and Connor Smith join our crew for one last Spear football preview show. Gentlemen, thank you so much. And thank you to all our viewers and listeners throughout the season. It's been a blast bringing you these football preview shows and coverage of San Jose State football in this 2020 turbulent year and turbulent season. But how much fun has it been to watch the Spartans go 7-0? San Jose State has a bowl record of 7-3, and this will be Ball State's first bowl game since 2014. And the Spartans' first bowl game since 2015, their win against Georgia State, if I'm not mistaken. Right, Derek?
Yeah, and the Cure Bowl. And then this is arguably one of the biggest games, along with the Military Bowl. We beat Bowling Green. Salinas' finest, David Fales, put on a magnificent performance, and I expect other Salinas finest Matt Mercurio kicking a couple field goals here and there. But it's gonna be a great game, and thank you all for tuning in. I know it seemed like we were the goofball circus over here because we were just laughing the entire time, but this was absolute fun. And follow us on the Twitter machine, folks, the Spear SJSU. We have an Instagram too, Facebook.
Yes, follow the Spear on Twitter and all social media at the Spear SJSU. It's going to be a great game. Enjoy Ball State versus San Jose State in the Arizona Bowl, New Year's Eve at 11 a.m. Pacific time on CBS. It'll be a great one, and we all wish our viewers and all who are listening a very happy New Year. Let's hope it's better than this one. For my co-hosts, Ian Hansen, Connor Smith, Max Miller, and Derek Al, I am Ryan Carlson. It's been a pleasure recording these for you all this season. Should be a great one. It's the season finale for sure this week in the Arizona Bowl. Ball State, San Jose State. Happy New Year, everybody.